Most of you with us have met Simon Majumdar before, and he's been with us. We decided today, it's been probably 6 times he's been around some of our events in the past, between GCIA, ICCA, some immersions, or even some tours we did with even some of our other member companies. In particular with Witch and Jeff in New York, a sandwich tour was really cool. But you guys all know him as, basically a food writer, speaker, author, but mostly from the Food Network and a lot of the shows he's done there as a judge. And that's what's been really fun for me. And I'll say, as I introduce Justin Warner, that, getting to know Justin here in a few calls prior to this. And of course, everybody at ICCA will get to see them at our ICCA summit in Providence in June. Is what was really interesting is you can see how these guys mesh. I mean, it's really interesting to hear you both are really extremely intelligent people, very much into history. Justin brought it up earlier about just being a geek and wanting to learn about everything. And Simon is certainly that as well, right? And that's using it in a very good way. But it's really interesting. And I think that's what really worked in Tournament of Champions, is your extreme knowledge of food and the way that you can explain the very complicated dishes in a manner that everybody can understand, I think really helped make that show successful. So if anybody has not seen the show, you've got to see the show.
This is the Tournament of Champions. Let's go! Let's go! Oh, come on.
Oh, we knew it.
You could potentially be the next chapter in Darnell's Cinderella story.
No, I will be the Cinderella.
How are you going to use the tortilla press?
I'm gonna try to do a quick fry bread. My wife is Native American, and just as Thanksgiving, I was in Oklahoma learning how to make some native fry breads. And I don't really have no crunchy element to this dish, so this is gonna bring it and gonna blow them away.
10, 9, 8, 7. Darnell, your plates have to be in the front.
4, 3, 2, 1.
My fry bread.
You didn't get it on.
I forgot my fry bread.
If the randomizer is going to tell me to use shrimp, I'm going to use shrimp as many ways as I can.
This year, shrimp shells and butter, that's going to turn into a hollandaise. My friends, I repeat, shrimpy butter hollandaise.
The winner of the West Coast wild card is...
Wow.
Chef Aisha.
Really great crisp texture on the outside. Then she's going to dress them with chili and shallots, little red wine vinegar, so a kind of warm sprout salad.
I lay the dough down on the spetzel maker.
Noodles? Are we seeing spetzel?
Extruded noodles, rice noodles.
I thought he was coating the crab, and he let us just sit here and babble.
Chef Jet did not come to play.
Sauces and stocks take a long time to really develop flavor. To really kind of shortcut that, I take all of the shells, throw them in the blender.
Oh, she's getting downright dirty, folks. This is a one-way ticket to Flavor Town. She's gonna grind it, she's gonna strain it. Watch out. Clear! For the first time, ladies and gentlemen, in TOC history, we have a dead even tie.
Are you kidding me?
To come back and battle for the semifinal.
That was an incredible episode, by the way. That was a real shocker. And then to see where it went from there. I think for me, the first question is, some of these chefs we've obviously had at our events over the years, right? But nowhere in that, one like capacity in one show have I ever seen so many star chefs and some of the brightest talent in the world, forget about this country.
I've never had like a little chef on my shoulders that says, "This is not the way," or anything like that. I've always
that accent is a hate crime, by the way, and we're going to make a note of that. Kevin, please make a note.
I'm very, very sorry, Simon. I apologize. Don't let it leave this stream. Turn off the recording.
Do you have an HR department? Can I complain to them? Anyway,
yeah, you're looking at them.
We'll let you go this time.
So yeah, it's just I anytime there's something that I don't know, I try and focus my curiosity on that. And oftentimes, when you're curious about something, if you keep turning over rocks, you end up like with science, and you end up having to understand how things work on beyond a recipe-based level. And I think the more you know about the why things work, the more you can then creatively apply that why to create something new or something exciting or something that makes you feel as though you have a stronger connection to the food you're making. And I think that that ultimately makes better food and food that can truly become like a signature.
Well, I think perhaps one of the dishes that people might be familiar that I believe you would say you created was the foie gras donut.
Yeah, I mean, the second I came out with the foie gras donut, there were a lot of other people who had said, well, I've paired foie gras with fried bread, or I've done this or that. But I took the classic technique of the trompe l'oeil, the trick of the eye, and I basically I piped the foie gras into a blank donut. Blank is an unfilled donut in my parlance. But then I piped in literally some Smucker's jelly, and then I hit it with a blend of powdered sugar and salt. And so it looked like the most harmless jelly donut you've ever seen. But then when you bit into it, it was this rupturing sensation, this explosion, literally, as foie gras and jam shot like forth from the donut. And the donut was served warm. And so as far as I know, I don't think anyone had ever kind of put it together where it was this kind of weaponized delivery vessel. And I mean, that thing was crazy. We did a food festival once, and I was selling, I think, 11.2 per minute at $12 a pop.
Wow.
And that festival was all day long and into the night. What I'm about to show you, especially as my water heats up here, is how to make a sodium citrate-based nacho cheese. And the reason I love this is because anybody can do it, and nacho cheese always rules. I think this makes some of the best nacho cheese, and we'll talk about that later. But also, I think that the ways in which you can then experiment within this experiment is just...
Well, you told me about this while we were sitting watching Tournament of Champions, and I am, the most Luddite of people. So I actually thought about this, and I sent out and bought some sodium citrate. I have it at home, and I decided to make this cheese sauce. Yes, I have exactly that. I got it through Amazon. I use a small amount of it, and I've started making cheese sauce. And now I will tell you, I don't make it any other way.
Got just a little over a quarter cup of water in here. I'm not one on measuring so much. Then I've got just a half teaspoon of the sodium citrate that's going to go into the water. We'll talk about the why and the how of sodium citrate very shortly, but I'd rather get straight to the results. So now that I've got that dissolving in there, and it dissolves very rapidly, I've got straight from the Robo-Coup, or the food processor, some sharp cheddar cheese. I grated this right up, and I'm just going to add it a little bit at a time, maybe half a handful or so, and let the heat do its thing. Grease ain't good when it comes to nacho cheese. So what sodium citrate does is as the cheese melts, it's not even really melting. It's kind of suspending all of those water balloons of fat and water in the water that I added to the pot. And so in no time at all, and I'm going to show you this whisking action, you're starting to see some things that I really like to see. Now, we've not used... I'm sorry?
I said, no, this to me is, it's magic. This should be, you would never be allowed in church again because of the devil going on in there.
Right? So the aroma here is that of pure, sharp cheddar. I didn't use anything special. I didn't use anything other than what was in the grocery store. But that being said, it's decidedly different from any nacho cheese that you're going to get from a package or that you're going to get from a can or that sort of thing. And it's just very simply, it's because we've done less to it. We've not had to make it shelf stable. And now this is ready to serve. It's going to hold this texture for some time. And Simon, as you said, now that we've kind of demonstrated this, the sky is the limit. What liquid can you not put in here? I haven't found one yet. You want to make fondue? Add some white wine, little kirsch, little Gruyere. Now all of a sudden we've got real fondue. You want to turn this into more authentic, like queso fundido? By all means, you could do it. You want beer cheese soup? Thin it out, and now all of a sudden it's the backbone of your soup. Saute some broccoli somewhere else, even if you want to get more crazy, air fry some broccoli somewhere else. Toss it in here, and now you have broccoli cheese soup. Why I love this is, one, it comes together immediately. Two, you don't have to deal with making a roux, as one would classically do for a Mornay, which involves two other ingredients, typically flour and some sort of fat or butter. But also, this is foolproof. Everyone knows what nacho cheese looks like, should feel like, and when it's awesome. A roux, that, like, you're asking anyone really, like anyone other than someone who works with roux all the time, what should an ideal roux look like? What should an ideal Mornay look like? Then you have problems. You want to throw cooked macaroni in this and then bake it with a breadcrumb crust, done deal. Anyway, I love this stuff so much. I could talk about it. Can I talk about it just one more moment?
You can talk about it as many moments as you like. That's why you're here.
Okay, great. So sodium citrate is a trisodium of citric acid. What does that mean? It basically means that this is a chemical reaction from citric acid. So when you add Na3, which is trisodium, to citric acid, which is C6H8O7, my friends, I kid you not, you get Na3C6H07, nacho.
I love that it actually the word spells nacho, which is, of course, completely brilliant.
The science found it first. I'm just a huge proponent of it.
You're sharing with us. Now folks can see why I love sitting with Justin on the back of Tournament of Champions or when we do Guy's Groceries together, because we talk about this and then I'll bore him with some food history.
You can't really be a chef who says I'm only good at one thing, or you can't say this is my specialty. Tournament of Champions, cooking is your specialty. And if you have a hole, any sort of hole in your knowledge, no matter how small, the randomizer could potentially find it. And 99% of the time, it's going to. It's just kind of Murphy's Law. But also, when you have a trillion ways that this thing could play out, and you only know a billion things about food, chances are, it's going to hit on something where you don't feel super comfortable. And you then hit yourself and say, like, why don't I know about this? Why did I dismiss the air fryer as just some, midnight advertisement thing, or infomercial product, when in fact people are writing whole cookbooks about it. And we all know that a turbocharged convection oven is a thing that people love to use. Why wouldn't a home cook love to use it on their countertop? That's all an air fryer is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what? And that's for those of you that are listening in or you're watching that didn't watch the show. The reason that these two are co-hosts is because it's blind judging. Okay, so the judges don't know who these amazingly well-known competitors are. So in that scenario, when you had to describe somebody else's dish, was there ever some difficulty or some times where maybe they explained it in a different way you would explain it, but you have to explain it the way they explain it? Was there any of those things that happened?
Yes, hugely. So I explained kind of earlier in this that I would say a good 80% of my career has been in front of house, and articulating food is something that I love to do. And I love to explain things and kind of really hit on what is the definition of something. So for example, someone said, this is a barbecue sauce. And I said, brah, like that is hardly thick. That is definitely not nappe. There is no way no world in which this would be considered a sauce. What if we called it a jus? And they're like, barbecue jus. Ah, I like that. And so therefore the guy basically served a somewhat watery barbecue sauce, but because it was jus, they were like, like French dip, jus, barbecue jus. So now we turn what was a liability into an asset. Oh, such creative idea, barbecue jus. It's not thick or heavy, And so anyway, I at least had to fight with the chefs a little bit to, just like relinquish the reins from here and let me be your lawyer. Let me be your front of house staff. Let me plead your case. And just trust me, I've been watching everything you're doing and I'm here to make you look as good as possible. But if you tell me directly to say something, there goes pleading the fifth, like.